I'll do anything. So.
Counting the
Cost.
Okay, Steven, so thank you, Liddy. Why did you want to become a dentist in the first place?
So, my parents, I grew up in a small community in Florida. Most of the minority population was Filipino. And if you don't know, a lot of Filipinos are stereotyped as being nurses coming to the U.S., so they were immigrants.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, yeah, it's like it's a pretty big stereotype. But anyway, my parents were nurses, so kind of, and my other family were doctors and other type of medical people. So kind of I was surrounded by medical people my entire life. I kind of knew
I do know that all the Asians want their kids to be doctors, for sure.
Medical, yeah. That's pretty stereotypical. At least for Filipinos, it's nurses first, and then from there they go up. But
okay.
So that was kind of I started with, but for those that don't know, I did music as my major, but up until most of my life, I was trained as a musician. So for the longest point, I wanted to be a cello player. Actually, my dream job still is to be like an orchestral musician that records first movie soundtracks.
Oh, really?
That's still my dream job. Yeah, It's not gonna happen, but it's not gonna happen now. But it was something I really wanted to do, and for most of my life, even throughout college, I kind of wanted to pursue that. So I finished my major in Andrews, but I kind of always stayed with something background. Like I did pre-dent, but I didn't really know if I wanted to stick with it. But it wasn't until my third year at Andrews, I did 5 years, but my third year, I started to really care about, wanting to do dentistry because I realized dentistry is really related to art. If you are, if you want to do something in a medical field, I tell a lot of people, if you like art, like drawing or painting, or like for me, I did music and then I did photography and kind of other art stuff, cooking. Dentistry is a lot with your hands. So and then if you look at not just the stuff I post, but other people's posts, it's really artsy. You can make really, with the photography and other stuff, it's really, it's the closest thing I think in the medical field to art.
Really? I've never thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah, just like, your aesthetics, your smile, like all that has to do with, an eye. You have to have an eye for it. Obviously, there's a science aspect of it, but until I guess most people just think you're just cleaning teeth, but that's not actually dentists. Usually that's the hygienists usually that do that.
Yeah.
But dentists, they just fix teeth. It's a lot more than that, and then the medical field's nice because you get to work with people. I like working with people, and you can, give them their confidence back, that sort of thing. So I found dentistry, my third year of dental school, to be like kind of a marrying of the two. Art and science, and I was like, oh wow, there's people you can make a career out of this. So I really wanted to do that. From that point on, I got serious about dentistry because the first 2 years I didn't care. That's probably the first 2 years you were there actually. I didn't really care. I just wanted to do music. So
yeah, I saw you with the cello all the time.
Yeah, actually, this is the first time I haven't really done anything since dental school, but I actually brought my cello this trip.
Oh really?
You see it over there. Yeah,
okay.
So I brought it all the way from California. It was a big trip, but I haven't checked it yet if it's damaged, but I think it's okay. But I brought it so I can play it here because I missed it a lot. So that's going to be another hobby I do here.
So I guess you play from time to time?
Not recently. I mean, and since I graduated Andrews, I haven't done much. I played little bits here and there. Like during dental school, I got invited to play with different groups, or a different group to play at Carnegie Hall. I played there a couple times.
Oh.
I played for the GC in Texas with a group. Last GC at least. Went to Australia for a tour. Played for Walt Disney Concert Hall and another group in LA. So I did little tiny things here and there, but not as much as I did when I was a major. That was like my life then. Now it's pretty much dentistry and other stuff since that's my career. So, but a little bit here and there I'm trying to do. If I can, I'm going to try to, when things open up, I'm going to try to join a concert or two in Guam. It's very close by. It's only like a 30-minute flight. So they have a symphony there, yeah. So if I stay here longer, that's probably going to be what I do.
Yeah, because I've seen some musicians playing their own, recording their own music, whether it's instrument, whether it's song, and they put it up in the YouTube and people listen and they still can
Yeah,
get it out there.
do something. Yeah, so I mean that's part of my YouTube channel too. So I do a lot of dental stuff on my social media, but I want to do other stuff too. Like cooking, traveling, blogging, music. So I'll probably record some stuff on my YouTube too. It's just something as a creative outlet, just to do. So I'll probably record some stuff too.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of your Facebook posts, and it was something that I've never seen because I've been always a patient, so I'm always lying down there. I don't know.
Like this.
I don't know what's going on, and yeah, exactly. When I saw all the vivid pictures that you put up there and videos, I was like, wow, this is crazy.
Yeah. So part of it's like to talk to other dentists and other stuff, but part of it, like, I know it might be a little bit like dense because it's a lot of dental terms, but somehow maybe on my Relax channel on YouTube, I'm gonna try to do more like dental outreach to like regular people, lay people. How to like just different topics like 10 things your dentist or 5 things your dentist wish you knew, or like this is what we mean when we do this, or how to brush properly. Just the little things, how to help people, because those little things I think a lot of people don't really know about dentistry. Since there's like even the medical people, the medical people don't really have a clue. Like they're medical doctors, they always talk to each other. They talk to nurses, they talk to radio techs, they talk to everybody else. But dentistry is this little side field over here that no one really knows except dentists.
Really?
Or dental professionals, yeah. So it's kind of our own little world over here, even separate from medicine, totally. But so it's kind of nice to have that job to educate people. So that's kind of somewhat I want to do, because I eventually I want to teach when I'm getting close to retirement.
Yeah.
Long time from now, but I want to teach later. Long time from now. I want to teach, yeah. So
Yeah, that's really true, because one time I went to a dentist, and I mean, he's a church elder. He was my dentist for a while. We got a good deal there, and he said, every time you have problem with your teeth, that's when I can make money from you. So I mean, even though he was joking, I knew he wasn't joking. So
he wasn't. No, it's very right.
yeah. So I think it'd be really cool for a dentist or a doctor to say, I don't want you to come back to me. I want you to learn how to take care of yourself and live a healthy life. I think those kind of doctors would have more returning patients because they know that this person cares about you. So I think that'll be a pretty cool approach.
Yeah, there are dentists like that, and I myself try to. I can't say that for sure, but obviously they have to make some sort of money. But at the same time, at least most of us went to this field to try to treat people. Yeah. But dental stuff is so prevalent. It's so normalized now. Because everyone has it.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do it because naturally people are lazy. The mouth is 24/7 active. Even when you're sleeping, it's active. All the cavities and everything. Yeah. So it's hard because like it's tied to your laziness. Cause, it's something you don't really see because it's all the way inside, and if you don't take care of it, it gets bad pretty fast. But I guess that's good for me because that's job security forever. Just because mostly people are lazy. But,
that's true.
It's nice to see when people change. Like I see patients over time, and they take it to heart and they really improve themselves. It's really rewarding. So
yeah, I heard from his worker that because I teach her, COVID didn't hit his business at all. So many patients.
Dentistry?
Yeah. Dental clinics aren't hit by COVID crisis at all, and he's doing just fine. So I was thinking, wow, medical work is really nice in that sense because people always want to be treated for their sickness.
That's true. We had actually a big scare earlier in the year when COVID first hit because dentistry, again, we're kind of a subset of medicine. We're very isolated from them. But the thing with COVID is the respiratory virus, right?
Yeah.
So it's spread by aerosols, and in dentistry, we're the number one field besides like anesthesiology for aerosols, because everything we do produces an aerosol. When we're drilling on your teeth or cleaning your teeth, it's very close to that area. So we were really scared, and we probably overreacted than other fields to like really really take precautions and other stuff because we were scared that people were just not going to come to the dentist. And for a while that kind of happened, but then yeah, I would say most people I know, even the ones in the mainland, we've been busier than ever, So it's a blessing, but at the same time, it's like it's still don't know what's gonna happen. But yeah, that's pretty cool that the people there aren't really hit by it. But medicine is always or healthcare is always a stable field. People always get sick. People always
exactly.
get
yeah.
You
can't get out of business.
Yeah.
So does that mean the dental professionals took precautions and said, please don't visit our clinic? Or was it the patients that said, we can't go there because we might get infected with COVID during the treatment is going on?
Kind of both. I think more so the dental side, we took crazy precautions because obviously, we don't want to get infected either. But we dentistry. I mean, there's a dental board in each state, and there's kind of an overarching dental organization called American Dental Association, but they don't really have any formal powers to stop anything. They can make recommendations. So it was really confusing at the beginning because everyone made recommendations on what to do, but they never did like a mandate because they don't have the power to do that. So there's a lot of what do we do? What do we do? Do we listen to this or listen to this? So a little confusing at first, but for my clinic, we did a lot of precautions. We changed, we installed UVC lights in all the operatories so they turn on. We did a lot of suction devices that change in the mouth to help get rid of the aerosols. We upped our PPEs. We did our disinfectant. I think, because everywhere COVID kind of changed everything, but especially I think in healthcare, it changed everything for more, so we're doing a lot more than we did before to disinfect.
Yeah.
But so that's here to stay, I think. I don't think we're going to really go back. So.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Just because we know something more, it doesn't always make life easier. It made life more complicated in that sense.
Exactly, right?
Who knew how things like are caused, and who knew how you need to do all these things back then?
The older dentists, they were saying, I think the one in recent memory in not our lifetime, but in the last 50 years or something, the last scare was HIV. So back then they were saying the older dentists, when they were doing procedures, they didn't really put on gloves. They never used gloves. They just washed their hand. They never put gloves on. So all the precautions now in medicine and dentistry to do what we call bloodborne pathogens, which is HIV and other things, was because of the HIV scare. So back prior to then, they didn't have gloves or they didn't use them as often. They didn't do all this other stuff. But now we're really strict about that. But now the one weak link in medicine was aerosols. We never thought about that sort of thing, but now that's the other part. Because the one thing to protect against a liquid like blood, but it's another thing to get protected against something you're breathing. So now it's kind of both. So now it's kind of where we're at right now.
So HIV and COVID took dental practice on a whole another level because you have to take extra precaution.
Exactly. It was a response to it, and that would made the industry change, and now COVID, same thing. So I think it's pretty much here to stay.
But I did hear that some doctors aren't making as much money because the people are not getting as much sick because they're washing their hands all the time. They're maintaining their immune system really well and stuff. Have you heard about that?
Maybe in medicine, I know a lot. The hospitals, they're not, because in medicine right now they have to, if there's COVID cases, all the ICU unit, the beds are being delegated to that, so they're not doing as many elective procedures. A hospital usually makes their money off of doing knee surgeries or open heart surgery, or other stuff that's elective, or cosmetic surgery. That's where the hospital makes most of their money. It's not off of emergency room visits or other stuff. Those are usually pretty cheap. It's needed, but they don't make their money off that.
Oh, I see.
same thing in dentistry. Like most of the time, we make the procedures, the higher procedures, like crowns or bridges, dentures, stuff like. But most people, unless it's hurting them, they don't come in for that. But when a time like this, when finances are tight, they only do stuff that hurts them. That's
Yeah.
causing pain. So they're waiting until a really long time. Uh, so that's kind of probably partially true because of people are just waiting.
Okay.
But in general, we haven't been. My clinic hasn't been too hit too hard. I mean, earlier it was, but it's okay. So
Yeah, I think it'll be dumb for the patients to wait until it gets bigger for you to have to pay so much more money.
yeah, more expensive definitely. Preventive is always cheaper, but it's more difficult because people, it's extra stuff for them to do.
Yeah. So I started asking you a question about why you started your dental practice, and you said it was more of your family background and how everybody else around you were heading that direction, and you weren't really motivated in the first place, but you saw the whole point of this in combining the art and the science, and then um, so did your parents verbally pressure you to become a dentist, or did you just figure it out on your own?
So I say this to my friends and my parents, but I always joke as an Asian, like your parents are like tiger parents. You're like, you go practice right now, or you do study, all that stuff. Like, that's pretty typical. But like for me, at least, I didn't really grow up like that. I can identify with it because I have aunts and uncles and friends that have parents like that. But my actual parents, not really too much. Then my parents were very supportive my whole life, but they weren't like they didn't really force me to do something. So I always kind of been self-driven to do like pick up hobbies or do other things. So in general, most of it's from me, and my
Oh,
parents
really?
just supported whatever I kind of wanted to do. So
Oh,
I joke, like, oh yeah, my parents would do this, or they would hurt me or spank me or discipline me, but I'm like, that's not entirely true. I just like to do that because it's funny, but I kind of was pretty much self-motivated from the
I see.
get-go for
Okay.
yeah.
So there was no hidden manipulation, no insinuation, no secret events to make you inspired to be a dentist and all this. None of that.
Well, so I mean, I was kind of confused when I went in college at Andrews first. I started with music, and I did pre-dentistry on the side just to take some prerequisite courses. But I really wanted to be a musician the first year, and then the second year I kind of got not bored, but I kind of got sidetracked. And I always liked photography, so I took up a photo minor second year. And I was like, I really want to be a photographer second year. And then I had a conversation with my mom, and she's like, that's great. You want to do all these things, but you have to think about something stability. And I forgot who I was talking to, but basically they told me, you have all these interests, but really in the end, you might be happier doing all these things when you have like
Yeah.
finances or
Yeah.
able to support those.
Okay.
Because if you're an artist, artist is great, but if you're doing it as a job, you might lose interest for it, because you're trying to make money off it. So music is really, really hard to make money off of. So is photography, especially right now, we see it. It's probably the hardest times for, artists. And while we need all those things, we want to support the arts. It's really difficult to maintain a lifestyle like that, especially if you have a family or that other thing. So, my third year, I was like, oh man, I need to start thinking about this. And then when I made the connection with dentistry, that was art. I was like, oh, wow, I can have something, and now I can, be able to treat music and treat photography like a hobby, like I want it to be. It can stay a passion of mine, just not, I can enjoy it when I need to, not because I'm stressed to make money off it. So I can kind of keep it where it's always been a joy, not a stress for me. So it's nice that dentistry worked out that I could support that.
Okay. So I guess things nicely worked together, and there was some sort of help from those that were talking about the financial aspect when you're making these career
Yeah.
choices. So do you regret making that decision at that time, or are you happy with the decision that you made?
So personally, I'm very happy. I would say, and I don't want to say I'm in the minority, but I have a lot of friends that and colleagues that kind of second question going into dentistry, just because the debt ratio is really high, and not everybody likes. I'm gonna be honest, not everybody likes treating people or treating
Yeah,
teeth their whole life,
yeah,
But
yeah.
for me, it kind of has never wavered that much. I started out dental school really, really like passionate, and I kind of carried that through, and it's still carrying now, mostly today. I mean, there's your ups and downs like everything, but I would say I'm a little bit in the non-popular field where I really, really like dentistry. It's kind of become my life career at this point. It's
Wow.
kind of it's incorporated a lot of aspects of my life. That's why you see kind of what you see. It's because of that passion. Even when I get off work, I sometimes do dentistry either through social media or studying or other stuff. I always constantly kind of think of dentistry. It's a little bit unhealthy, but I really like my field. So
Wow,
yeah.
you're a real dentist. Inside the office, outside the office.
I don't know
Dentistry
if
is
that's
in
a
your
good
life.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's excellent. So, have you ever met any dentist that inspired you to be a certain kind of model dentist?
Yeah, so I mean, originally it was in Loma Linda. Again, I only applied to one school, and people when I tell them that, they're like, "Well, what is wrong?" Because usually when you apply for like medicine or law or anything, you apply to dozens of schools, to try to get in. But I only applied to Loma Linda out of Andrews, only one school, and my plan was if I didn't get in to reapply again or to do what they called at the time the biodent program, which is a kind of a test program that you do take classes with the first year students, and if you do good, you can apply to next year a little bit easier. But that was my goal initially, is just to go to Loma Linda because I believe in the mission. Obviously, that's home for me, but I had never really considered going to any other school just because I believe in the type of dentistry that they were doing. So most of my professors in dental school are kind of the catalyst for kind of practicing the way I want to do today. And that's why it's hard for me to go back home right now to work for, you know, to corporate because right now I don't really want to do that. I want to do dentistry the way I perceive it to be right and, to treat patients the way I want to. Really hard if you don't own your own office or you don't have the power to say that. So that's why I'm kind of still staying out here. So still be able to do that.
Oh, I see. So, what makes
Yeah.
Loma Linda Dental School special?
So what makes it special? I mean, disregarding its connection to the Adventist Church, Loma Linda has a long history in the dental community as pioneering a lot of work. They're really famous for doing stuff in we call endodontics or root canals. That's a specialty field, or to do also prosthetics. That's like dentures and full mouth rehab. That's also something that's really popular, and also implants, dental implants. Um, what else are and gold work, like all the gold stuff. It's a lot of it's from Loma Linda back in the day.
Oh,
So Loma Linda's
really?
very famous.
Wow.
Yeah, very famous long ago. Now it's a little different. I mean, they're making their way, but Loma Linda usually has a pretty good name in the dental community.
Oh.
If you, not all the time, but if you say you're from Loma Linda, a lot of people take that usually as a positive thing.
Wow.
Disregarding this connection to the Adventist Church, Loma Linda has a pretty good reputation, and its graduates are considered, pretty good or pretty average at least.
Wow.
Um,
Oh, wow.
Connecting to the Adventist Church, of course, it's the only dental school we have, so that's kind of
Okay.
something. Yeah.
I see.
So.
So you didn't just go there just because it was lining up with your religion, but also it has a good tradition of being excellent and pioneering all these things that contributed to the
Yeah.
overall dental practice globally.
Yeah.
Right?
So like ethical wise, that's really important. And Loma Linda, again, their whole system, Adventist system in general, is whole person care. That's kind of back in a couple of years ago, maybe it wasn't as big. I mean, Loma Linda has always believed in that, but because even the trend in medicine is throw a pill at something. They give you a prescription for medicine but they don't really, look at the cause. So it's like, if someone has hypertension or diabetes or whatever, you like prescribe medication, but let's look at the other aspect of it. Let's not keep them, on the hook for life. Let's help them out, help themselves. So you look at the diet, exercise. Back in the day, Ellen G. White was saying all those things, and that's kind of translated to the health message as well. All those things help because now science is looking at it. It's like, oh, you know what? This might be more effective than just staying on medication. So same thing in dentistry.
Really?
It's like, oh, instead of just like doing this or just treating cavities or doing that, because like you're treating the symptoms, you're not treating the cause. Like, oh, a lot of the switch, especially learning in Loma Linda, is to be preventative. It's like, okay, let's tackle the problem, and we can prevent this from happening before it goes. So there's a lot of, kind of shift in medicine in general, to shift to like whole person care or lifestyle care. That's a kind of a still emerging field right now, but it has a lot of promise, and we know that as Adventist Christians that there's an aspect to it that's true that we've been saying for a long time. So I think that has merit. So.
Wow. So if you're trained at Loma Linda Dental School, you're more likely to hear from that dentist that preventive aspect is huge.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously you learn traditional dentistry and other things, but that's pretty big. And what's really important too as a dentist, because it's also important in other fields, but hands-on is really, really important. What I liked about Loma Linda was they did a lot of mission trips, and they did a lot of like free community services for free clinics. So as much as possible, every chance I got, I signed up for a mission trip, or I signed up to do a free volunteer work, because when your hands as a dentist, if you're not doing it, you're gonna forget it. So it was nice to be able to do all those things in school and kind of develop that kinetic ability with your hand, because when I got out of school, it helped me so much more, I think, than being not prepared. So that's something I always tell dental students is do as much, even though you're tired, do as much as you can to kind of do it. I understand, but you're there, you're paying this much money to go there, you might as well get the most out of it. So.
Wow. So the school also encourages students to go out and serve the community. Even though it's free, it definitely trains students for service.
Exactly. So our motto at Loma Linda School of Dentistry is service is our calling. So we're really well known in the dental world for doing a lot of outreach services, and the area we're in California is actually one of the most underserved areas. So it's nice that we are situated in that area, so we can help out as much as possible. Plus obviously the international mission trips and other things.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought everybody there is so healthy and live long and stuff.
I mean, that's kind of, I guess that's true. But there's a lot of non-healthy people too. It's all, it's, I guess, what they want to portray, but it's not as, I guess, healthy I've seen as it is. But
yeah, you know how National Geography Channel focused on Loma Linda and said, yeah, these people live long, they rest and they love, they rest and all these things. But I really wonder if they measure the health of regular Adventist young people or any people out there. I don't know if they're going to get the same statistics, because most young people don't practice all those things.
Yeah, I would say probably not. I don't know anybody around my age that is really doing it that crazily.
Yeah.
Maybe the older generation, but
yeah.
I mean, we'll take it, I guess. It's free publicity, free
yeah.
So.
Yeah. So wow, so you picked up a lot from Loma Linda, and it's still carrying you along. And have you ever carried out a meaningful conversation with other dentists that didn't come from Loma Linda, and you saw a striking difference in their perspective?
I would. So I've been doing CE courses since I ever got out. I've kind of, that's how I travel too. I kind of pair business and personal recreation. But I would say in general, most of the people are pretty much the same, but Loma Linda people just have a little bit more focus on patient care, as in I don't want to say ethics because there's people of ethics of all races and all that sort of thing. But there's a certain thing I can't speak because I'm not from any. I didn't go to any other school, but I have the schools. But there's a certain like bond you have with them that you just get it. I don't want to say it's better or worse, but
Okay.
in general, again, Loma Linda is pretty well known to be a very clinical orientated school. Whatever that means, whether that's a positive or ethical treatment or patients or that sort of thing. It's just well known clinically, I guess you could say. So that's probably the best answer I can give.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. When you perform a surgery or when you do anything on a human body, some mistakes or some kind of crazy things could happen, and I don't know if you have experienced that when you were practicing, or how did you deal with that?
So I have a lot of personal experience with this because as a new grad, I kind of came to a very remote island to work, and this clinic that I worked for is a very well known figure on the island. It's been here for about almost 50 years. So it's really the place where everyone goes to get the best dental work done. And up until this point, before I came and started working, there was very well known dentists that worked there that kind of had built a really good reputation for it. So as a new grad, it was a little challenging because I only know what I know from school. You have to start somewhere, but it was really kind of hard because all these difficult cases came to me like day one, and I was like blown away because we haven't really treated that sort of thing. So you kind of have to. I don't want to say fake it, but you have to fake it till you make it. So a lot of it's faking it, but you just try to default again to what you learned in school, how to treat people ethically, that sort of thing. But it is a little challenging. But that's where it comes in. Trying to practice as much in school as much as possible before coming out helps. But definitely, there's every day, or at least especially in the beginning, every day was challenging because I'm learning something new and trying to treat something. But I guess how we deal with it is, we're taught to do what we call informed consent. So you talk about the pros and cons and of each procedure with a patient, and ultimately, your job is not necessarily not to convince them, but your job is to portray like what you recommend, and it's really up to the patient that decides what they want to do. So you need to inform them as much as possible what can go wrong or what is the risk. So depending on it, you just have to go from there, and that's a little scary at times, but that's all you can do as a provider is really inform them and let the patient decide. And some of that has to do with patient ownership of what they're doing. They can't. You're not perfect, including your dentist. No one's perfect. You're gonna make mistakes, but apologizing, being kind to the patient goes a long way if something does happen. If you're treating them bad from the get go, they're more likely, to not be respectful or sue you or other sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you're nice to them, people are more likely to treat you right. So
Okay.
that's I would say like it goes around. What comes around goes around. So
there were times when things were pretty challenging, but you still did your best with what you learned, and you have been giving them the care that you could give. And so how long have you been practicing dentistry?
So I started my third year. So wait a second. Yeah, I finished. I graduated in 2018. So in 2021 will be my third year of dentistry almost.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, because when I first started working for a school, I've heard all kinds of things. Wow, you don't know this? You should have common sense to know this, and how can you do this, and all these kind of things. And I was like, oh, I didn't learn any of this in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they always expect me to meet a certain expectation that I wasn't informed, and they were so shocked when I didn't know certain things. I was like, nobody taught me about this, and why do they expect me to do this? And that's what I experienced when I first entered the real workplaces. And I'm pretty sure same thing happened to you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's something. It's kind of, and this is what some professors told me before. It's at least for dental school, and I'm sure everything else. It's not the school's job necessarily to get you to be the best level. That's kind of your beginning of your journey.
Yeah.
Dental school is the priority is to get you what we call competent.
Yeah.
So you're able to really just start working on your own, like without hurting the patient.
Yeah.
But that's just the beginning of the slope.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people treat dental schools like I'm gonna graduate with all the skills I ever need to ever practice again.
Yeah.
And that's why I travel and I do as much continuing education as I can possible, because I want to be able to offer the patient, the best care I can give. If I just have explain as a toolbox. If you have, just a hammer, then everything you have is a nail. That's the only way you can treat it. But if you have a hammer and a chisel and all these other tools, you can present that to the patient and be able to give them the best care you can. Only if you have that training, though. If you don't have that, then everything is a nail to you. So.
Yeah. So, you also mentioned about so you pretty much said that dental school is an entry point, is where they are where they help you to be equipped with all the skills that you can possibly have, so you can get started and you can still continue to learn and continue to be educated. And you also talked about how patients also play a big part in decision making. It's not just the dentists that are making all the independent decisions. Is you explain to them what's going on, they make their own choice, and they can be also responsible for their choices. But when you do make mistakes, you still nurture the relationship so it doesn't get too bad. So
yeah.
Wow. I heard that in a regular hospital or doctor's offices, there are conflicts between healthcare professionals, between nurses and doctors. And I've heard from nurses, doctors, all they know is to go into the cubicle and study and get good grades and ace everything, but they don't have good social skills. And we nurses have to take care of all these dirty works, and we have to take care of all these problems, and they don't care about us. And so I've heard from nurses these kind of complaints, and there is tension between medical professionals. And how have you been able to deal with them and witness them during your practice for 3 years?
So that's definitely something. Yeah, I think we have, for doctors, medical doctors, they have nurses, and then for dentists, we have what we call assistants or hygienists. So kind of two different subsets. But I think in any conflict or any sort of issue in life, not just medical field or dentistry, it comes down to communication. If you are communicating properly, I believe that fixes 90-95% of all conflicts. Just knowing where the other person's coming from, letting them know where you're coming from. And if you're like a leader in a field like being a doctor or the dentist, you have to lead by example. So if you're telling your assistant or someone how to do something, you have to really make sure that they're learning it by leading by example. So showing them how to do it or properly training them, that goes a long way in fixing issues. And just being open communication really is a key as a leader. If you kind of hold things in and you just yell at people or shout at them to do something, no one's gonna take that. No one's gonna take that to heart. No one's gonna they're gonna close off. The human response is to close off everything negative like that. But if you approach it from hey, at least a teamwork, let's do this, just like in a relationship, what if we take this issue and we work at it as a team instead of it's me versus you, it's us versus the issue. That goes a long way in kind of mending that relationship and really making a collaborative effort to, while you're there to treat patients, you're all a team, including the patient. We're all in a team to help, get better health and that sort of thing for everybody.
I see. So being a good listener, being a good example, and communicating things very clearly help a lot.
Setting boundaries, setting expectations, all those things.
Oh, I see.
Are very important.
Oh, I see. Wow. So So how long are you planning on staying there, and what's your future plan? As a yeah.
So right now, uh, I'm kind of taking it year by year. So out in Saipan, I'm also getting kind of government aid for my student loans. So I signed some contracts with the government. So my contract with Saipan is year per year, but I signed a 2-year contract with the government for funding back in 2018. So it expires 2021 September, but I can renew it every year. So I'm planning to stay probably a couple more years just because of they help with student loans and I can continue to learn and practice. Right now, especially since COVID hit, it's a little bit difficult to figure out where to go, after because the industry everywhere has taken quite a hit. So it's going to have to rebuild itself for a couple more years, maybe. So maybe after that time, I can focus on going somewhere else. But right now, Saipan for the foreseeable future, maybe I don't know, maybe Hawaii, East Washington. I was thinking about, but those are just other options to go to. But for now, it's just Saipan. Yeah.
I guess you like
That's it.
islands.
I don't really like islands. It's funny because my friends that know me the most know that I hate hot weather, and everywhere I lived in my life, I grew up in Florida, and then I moved to California, and then I went to school for Michigan, but it's hot in the summer, and then I done like mission work in the Philippines anyway, other stuff, but everything's hot, and Saipan's hot, so I really enjoy cold weather, but I've never really lived in a place that was cold weather except Michigan for a little bit, but I hate hot weather, so it's funny. People say that.
So you're pretty much taking care of your student loans at this point and gaining really good experiences.
And traveling, yeah.
And traveling also. So wow, that's great.
Yeah. So it kind of fits all the like things in life I kind of want at this point. I'm pretty free spirited. I don't like I like being independent. So
that's great.
Saipan kind of has all those things right now.
Yeah.
One day I'll probably need to figure out something else, but for now it's a good place and fit for me.
Sure. So you foresee going back to the mainland, to not region, to launch your own practice or to start working there. I guess that's your long term plan.
Yeah, I mean, again, I want more control of like how I do
Sure.
Treat patients. So
Okay.
most likely I'll open my own office or
Okay.
start a group practice or join a group practice with somebody else. But that's kind of right now looks like that's the option to go. Yeah.
So what's the ideal dental clinic that you think patients want?
The patients want. That's hard because everyone's different. There's the patients that just want the cheapest type of treatment. They don't care about all the frills and thrills. So you have the other patients that are very what we call high maintenance. That want like
the best.
The whole like a spa. There's dental clinics that are like or dental offices are like a spa. It looks like
Oh really?
Yeah, there's places that massage you. There's places that put your hand in hot wax.
Wow.
It's a whole thing, but that's very expensive dentistry.
Oh, I see.
Hey, there's people willing to pay for it.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a very big spectrum of patients, so it depends on what that is and the area you're working in. You can't do that in usually a rural area. People won't be able to afford it and no one will want it.
Oh, I see.
But yeah.
So you haven't picked a certain model yet, I guess. You're exploring at this point.
Still exploring. I mean, I like Saipan again because I kind of get to do. It's a well-funded clinic, so you get to do. You have really big control of like how you treat a patient. So I can treat patients. With more expensive resources, materials, to have a better clinical outcome. And then we also treat, people that, don't have the means to pay for themselves. So you have kind of the mission aspect, that's where it comes in. And you also have the high-end aspect. I have some high-end patients, definitely that require, very, very picky and they want the best. So it's kind of nice to be in a place that it's weird that does both. So it's a very unique place to start dentistry or practicing dentistry because of those things.
Oh, I see. Wow, you're gaining really good experience from both ends of the spectrum. Some people want
Yeah,
just the cheap stuff, and some people want the best. So you're getting all
yeah.
that.
You have to change your face every other patient sometimes just to figure out what they want, you know. So it's nice because you can do both. So
So do you make eye contact with the patients when you talk to them?
yeah, all the time.
Wow, that's very cool because I've met many dentists and I can't even see their
They don't.
eyes. I can't even see their eyes.
Oh, because sometimes we're wearing our what we call loops, but um, yeah, it's hard. Not everybody. I mean, usually when dental school, you get admitted to dental school, they look at your grade and other stuff, but not necessarily your social skills.
Yeah,
You know, maybe as a in dentistry, it's very social. You have to be, any
yeah,
healthcare, but
yeah,
especially if you're treating them, you're
yeah,
having that intimate moment with them that you're
yeah,
hurting them. Really,
yeah.
you don't want to hurt them. You have to be, but it doesn't. Not everyone's equipped
Yeah,
for it.
the church elder guy that I talked about keeps talking to me throughout the whole practice. Like if it's like 40 minutes, he keeps talking to me, and I'm like laughing because he's like talking to me and something is funny. I'm like, and he wouldn't even stop talking. I don't know if it's because he knew me personally or if it's because
Mm-hmm.
he does it the whole time. So even though his dental clinic is so busy, so I can't go there anymore because I don't have time. But it was one of the
Mm-hmm.
most enjoyable treatment I've ever
Mm-hmm.
had because just the fact that he's constantly talking to me lessened the pain a lot. So I didn't feel like I was
That's
going
good.
through like a torture chamber. Because I pray the most when I go to the dental clinic because even the scaling is painful sometimes.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of that's what you're saying is pretty accurate from what people know. It's funny because people like they have dental phobia that's really really big, and they have like I fear, heights. I fear like snakes, and dentistry is like always up there, always up there. You always have like these big muscly guys and other stuff that they're like have tattoos everywhere and everything, but they can't come to a dentist because they're scared, and a lot of that has to do with past trauma.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of funny because even though I'm a dentist by trade, there's a little bit of psychology that goes on. So you kind of you're a psychologist. You know, some people, I've had patients come into my chair and all they want to do is talk. It's not a dental problem that I can help them with, but it's something that we can talk over. And usually, a lot of some dental issues can be fixed by psychological by just talking to them.
Wow.
But if you're a practitioner, if you don't know that, then it's gonna be you're gonna be meeting like this with the patient the entire time.
Yeah,
So yeah, we're treating people. We're not just treating
that's true. That's
people.
true.
We're treating whole person. That's where it comes in. The psychological aspect and the physical aspect are like intertwined all the time. So you have to be able to manage both sometimes.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
So, how long do you see yourself paying the student loan? Because I mean, my mom paid for all my education. I didn't go to mass graduate school. I didn't go to for my doctorate program. My mom paid a lot of private education.
Oh wow.
Most Korean kids would go through those crazy like schools
Mm-hmm.
after school, and I hated that. Anyway, so is it stressful for you to have to pay for all that, or is it kind of normal for any medical dental students to go through?
I mean, unfortunately, it's normal. Most people take
Yeah,
out the loans, but it's definitely stressful.
yeah,
So that's why partially why I don't want to say stuck out here, but why I chose to stay a little bit longer is because so there's different programs that the federal government has to pay off your loans. For me, I'm doing what they call the Public Service Loan Forgiveness or PSLF. That means you have to work about 10 years
wow,
at a site. It doesn't have to be one site. You can go between different sites and stuff, but you have to work full time for 10 years and make certain payments. So right now, I kind of been doing that, and I'm about year 2 or 3, so I have about 7, 8 more. But again, I can go a lot of other places, but usually that has to be an underserved area. So for the first 10 years of my career, that's what I plan on doing, just because I don't really want to pay that much. I
yeah,
have friends that are just paying it off, but they're paying, most of their paycheck to that, and they just have to live, very um, low because they have family or other stuff. They have to cut their finances a lot. But right now, because I want to travel and because I want to do other stuff. And I don't have all those tie downs with family and other things. It's easy for me to choose this option because it kind of again it has best of both worlds, and I'm able to do all those things. But yeah, definitely, it's challenging. Always have that over your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
If you don't have a plan, it's gonna hurt. If you have a plan, you just stick with it, deal with it.
I guess being a medical student, dental student is not just all rosy and nice. It takes a lot of work, a lot of stress, right?
Yeah, I think that was really the trying time of my life. I mean, college was definitely, really, really intense too, but it's almost like before. I mean, before you could do a lot of things with a GED or a high school diploma.
Yeah.
And then when you get to college, that's a big thing. I think in some aspects that's kind of changed because now a lot of places are requiring that you have a college degree as like number one, right?
Yeah.
So college degree almost feels like it was high school for part of it, and then the next, if you do a master's or something else, it almost feels like that's your real thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm using the electronic toothbrush. Is that what it's called?
Toothbrush, okay.
And then I'm what is it called? What is the thing called?
Floss.
Floss, yeah, floss. And I'm using the like salt water, and I feel like I'm doing a great job because previously I didn't do any of that. No flossing, no electronic toothbrush, no salt water rinsing. So I had a lot of cavities when I was growing up. I drank a lot of milk growing up, and I went to dental clinic, and they always say you have cavity every single time I went there.
Okay.
And then I feel like I'm doing the best job I've ever done in my life recently, and so is that what you would also recommend, like flossing, electronic toothbrush, like rinse with the salt water?
So every person is different, but the majority of dental related issues are because of like habits, like not cleaning properly. But there's also other aspects. It's not just, we always talk about the patient not brushing and flossing, and that's definitely a big part of the issue. You also have to look at other things like diet, diet issues, and also genetics. That also plays a role a little bit. But if you're snacking a lot or eating a lot of like acidic foods or not just sugar, people think when you're eating sugary stuff like candy and that sort of thing or chocolate, that's going to be the most detrimental. But it's not necessarily that. Even when kids, if you're eating like crackers, chips, bread, even anything really breaks down to this what we call like the regular sugars, the regular simple sugars. All that gets stuck in your between the teeth. And that causes really the damage more than just candy itself or soda too. So for cavities to kind of form, you have to have the right amount of conditions. And really what needs to happen is the pH level or the acidity level of your mouth needs to lower to a certain point. How that happens is either one, you're drinking all that stuff. So you're drinking soda, that's very acidic because it has a carbonic acid from the carbonation. Or you're drinking, even like people that are really healthy, they're drinking a lot of lemon water. That can also lower the acidity in your mouth. Or they're drinking apple cider vinegar, so the same thing. Or you have, what's the most common one is you have just people that eat a lot of snacks. And what happens is the bacteria are eating the food that's left in your mouth, and they're producing acids too. So basically the acidity in your mouth has to lower for teeth to get cavities. If you're not having the acidity in your mouth lower, then you won't have cavities. There's really no other way for you to do that, at least. So there's a lot of other dental issues, but as far as cavities, that's pretty much it. The acid level in your mouth has to lower. So you can combat that by one, removing the food so the bacteria can't eat it. That's usually what we do. That's why brushing and flossing. Or two, there's rinses that can help with that. It's actually more complicated than even what dentists say. There's like a very dynamic microflora thing going on in your mouth that keeps it, in stasis, in equilibrium. So usually the thing is just to brush and floss, and that usually takes care of it. But not just doing it frequency, like morning and night. You have to do it properly. So, and sometimes it gets hard because the patients, they don't have the dexterity. If they're older, they have arthritis. They can't reach. They can't see. Or if your teeth are like rotated or other stuff, it's hard to reach it, and it's not as easy as someone that has like really nice straight teeth. There's a lot of issues why it's harder for people. Or genetically too, there's genetic aspects that really affect it, but the majority is just habit stuff. What you can fix like brushing, flossing, and diet. So.
Oh, I see. So, acidity level and so are there any like certain foods that increase the acidity level?
I mean, obviously, acid foods like citrus, other stuff. I mean, those things are good for you, like for your body. But
Yeah.
if they're staying on your teeth, you need
Uh-huh.
to make sure they're not staying a very long time,
Oh, I see.
or rinse it out with water. Or
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
again, any food that has carbohydrates,
Yes.
bread, cookies, chips,
Oh, I see.
anything like that will break down if it's left on your teeth into acid because of the bacteria.
Oh, I see. Wow.
Yeah.
But when you use electronic toothbrush, I feel like it can't go wrong because it's the machine doing it, not me. Because when I was told to do like brush my teeth like this, I'm just like, man, my wrist hurts
It's
so much.
hurting.
Just so difficult. How do you brush like this? And I was like, I give up. Just electronic toothbrush. Isn't it always
Yeah. So
better than hand?
it depends on what you have, but I mean, the electronic toothbrush is nice, especially for kids or people that don't have the dexterity. It's because it's a lot of the time, it tells you, like, it gives you the amount by. So we tell you to brush for 2 minutes. A lot of the electronic toothbrushes, they'll make sure that the
Yeah.
mode is for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So it forces you to do that.
Yeah.
So if you're doing, that's half the battle, just doing it,
Yeah.
but you have to do it properly. But, there's definitely times where electronic toothbrush is not as good because, especially if you're using it in a very hard way, if the toothbrush doesn't compensate for it, it can actually cause more damage than using the manual toothbrush. For most people, it won't, but
Oh.
if they just hold it there and they kind of like, that ultrasonic vibration will eventually kind of lead to what we call gum recession when the gum level drops.
Oh.
That's why we recommend, manual, but it depends on the person, so you just have to kind of really figure out
Okay.
what it is, but it's a good tool. It's definitely, it's better than not brushing at all. If you're going to use an electronic toothbrush or regular toothbrush, the one I say is the one that you're going to use, that's what you need. So that's the best one.
So don't press too hard.
Yeah, so actually if you have like, it depends on the brand, but usually if it's Sonicare, that's like ultrasonic, not the spinning one, but the one that just vibrates.
Oh.
You want to put it kind of 45 degree or just right against your tooth, but not touching it too hard, and it'll just vibrate like this.
Oh, I
If
see.
you're pushing it too hard, it's going to go like this. It doesn't have room to vibrate.
Oh, I
So
see.
you want it to be slightly light touching, so it has that. Yeah.
I see.
So.
Do you ever get cavities? How do you treat yourself?
So yeah, I've had. I mean, when I was a kid, also, it's funny because I say I'm paying for my sins in the past. I had so many cavities when I was a kid, but luckily that was on my baby teeth, my primary teeth. So most of those obviously fell out. But I have one filling somewhere. I forgot where it is. The one here or here that I had done in dental school by a friend, and then I think I have maybe one cavity, but. We have our different ways to treat it as dentists. It might not be what we recommend for you, but for me, like I use like special solutions to kind of keep it at bay. If I need to treat it, then I'll treat it. But it's funny because dentists are usually the worst patients.
So you
They'll
can
tell you do as I say, not as I do.
so you can do your own too.
Not my own filling, but I treat it with like a different type of like
Okay.
preventative solution. Yeah,
Okay.
there's other things you can use, but
Oh, so what you're saying is when a dentist go to another dentist, that patient dentist might complain about the way that he's being treated.
oh yeah, there's like how like they have the same like 9 out of 10 dentists recommended. There's always that one. If you go in a room of dentists and you ask for like a treatment plan for them, you'll get 10 different answers. Because everyone has their own way.
Oh,
That's why it's very hard. Yeah, they're very usually stubborn people. Dentists are very stubborn people. So.
Wow. So probably to lessen the hassle, just give him what he wants.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Wow, thank you for answering all the questions. I've had a lot of questions. I think I asked most of them.
No, yeah, you're a really good interviewer. I can tell that you've done this, you've done this before. Maybe do it quite a bit. Very
Yeah.
engaging, so I appreciate it.
Yeah,
You feel very relaxed.
I've been interviewing people all along without the camera, and that has been my way to make friends with people. And I mean, listening to people is very enjoyable.
Yeah.
So I guess I've been doing it all my life without knowing, and I just switched to my my hobby.
That's a cool hobby. That's a very social hobby. So.
Yeah, I learned a lot from you.
Mm.
So why did you tell a 10-year-old child that wants to be a dentist?
What would I tell a 10-year-old that wants to be a dentist?
Yeah, or 15-year-old or 20-year-old.
Well, I first say that probably the desire and the passion is probably number one. A lot of people, you definitely have to have work hard. There's a lot of hard classes and a lot of things you have to kind of get out of the way. Just requirements. You have to take board exams, all those things. But really, the most successful people I've seen in any field are the ones that are just hardworking, determined. There's people that are naturally talented in whatever field, and you're like kind of get a little bit down because like, oh man, I don't have the skills of this person, or this person just has it all that sort of thing. But in the end, usually, almost always, hard work and determination always wins out over pure talent or resources. So if you want that, set it as a goal and keep on determined, no matter what. Those are usually the most successful people I've seen in any field, regardless of their circumstance. So just keep at it and, keep the goal in mind and you'll get there, definitely.
Wow. So determination and work ethic and hardworking manner will can really even trump the just being talented.
Some people have both. They're very talented,
Oh,
they
really?
have resources, and they're hardworking. So those are the people we don't like. They're not horrible, honestly. No. Some people have everything, so you can't hate them for it. But
Okay.
usually, most people only have one or the other. So
Who are you then?
for me,
Yeah.
I would like to think I'm hardworking, but usually that. So yeah, definitely have some motivation. So I would say that's why I say that.
I mean,
definitely not the most talented, but hard work will get you in a lot of places.
Sure. I think you're very motivated because not many people would love to spend more time on the work related stuff, but you're doing all kinds of things outside of work, so you're definitely motivated. So
thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Steven. It's good to catch up with you. It's been how many years?
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's been at least what?
More than 10? More than 10?
I don't know.
More than 10?
More than, yeah, maybe. Must be, yeah.
Yeah, it's been
something long.
Yeah, 9 or 10 years.
Yeah, I started Andes in 2009, so
yeah. You know how
almost,
you know how my life was rough there as a foreigner. I couldn't even understand a lot of classes because it was difficult.
Yes,
because
English.
of the language barrier. But,
yeah. But dude, look at you now. You're an English teacher. Your English is like perfect. If I didn't know you beforehand, I'm conversing with a native speaker.
Yeah, my wife is an American, and I was determined to read everything in English. My devotional was English. I went to an English church, and I hung out with foreigners, and I ended up marrying a foreigner. So I was very determined because my goal was to being able to communicate something wholesome to other people in English. So that was my motivation. Whether it's Bible study, whether it's ministry, So.
Very cool. You definitely reached that level, so that's inspiring.
Yeah.
I only speak English, so I would love to learn another language, but I just haven't had time. But
I'm learning Chinese at this point, so
Oh, really?
I've learned something new because my wife is a Chinese American and her family
Mm,
expects me to converse in Chinese, and I feel like
wow.
I feel like a non-animate object when I join their gathering, and I don't like that feeling.
Yeah,
I feel worse than a pet. You know what I mean?
you're just there.
Yeah,
You're
they don't
listening.
expect a pet to talk, but they expect me to talk. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. Well, that sucks. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So how do you remember me when I was there? Because I went to cafeteria and I wanted to make friends there, and I went to random strangers for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, and
You were very social. I remember that. You at
right?
least, I mean, you maybe not talk all the time, but like,
Yeah.
'cause maybe the English barrier, but you were
Yeah.
very social.
Yeah, right?
Like between you and your roommate Xian, like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys are opposite, total opposite. The guy's like very outgoing, and
Yeah.
Xian's kind of more quiet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was
So
so funny.
that's
Guys were
cool. Yeah, I think that
That's how I
social
remember you guys.
Yeah, I think that social thing actually paid off, and I learned a lot, and it makes me more it makes me happier, and it's a lot better to be always connected with people. So I'm very thankful for all the friendships I made, and we were able to
Yeah,
talk again at this point.
yeah. Well,
But
thank you for reaching out. I appreciate it. And it's nice to catch up with you too. I haven't heard from you in a while.
yeah,
So,
I just remember you as very lively, very happy, always playing instrument, and yeah, yeah, cool and
awesome.
cool too. And I think you talked about trying to get into dental school or something at that time. I think you did
Oh
say.
yeah, I think I was struggling at that point.
Yeah,
A lot of struggles.
I think you're like exploring different options as you said today. I think I do remember that. So look at you, you're a dentist now. So.
Thanks. Always nice. Yeah.
Yeah, good to catch up with you.
Yeah, man. Well, maybe if hopefully after COVID, if I'm ever, I don't know how far you are again from Seoul, probably a little bit outside, but if I'm ever there for a while, I can
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
catch up. Yeah,
Let me know when you come.
sure.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm always here.
That'd be nice. Awesome.
Okay.
All right, man.
I hope you enjoy your quarantine.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right.
Have a
Bye,
good day,
Dylan.
Steven.
You too.
Bye
Yeah,
bye.
Take care. Bye.